we are here in Vietnam to discuss a historic moment between two powerhouses in Web3. I'm here today with amazing founders. All right, let's dive into some questions. So, Sandeep, how did this collaboration kick off, and what makes you excited about collaborating with Ronin?
Yeah, so I mean, as Gio said that, we know each other for last like 5, 6 years, and I've been trying to figure out a way to work with the powerhouses like Axie, Ronin, ecosystem, and there's absolutely no parallel to that. Always because Polygon being an infrastructure, builder, and a protocol builder, and trying to figure out like how we can work together with the Xe and Ronin ecosystem. So for me, it's been a 5-year project. It's only happening, now, and super excited because Ronin community also says that Ronin is the king of gaming, and if you ask like a average like Web3 gamer, there's absolutely no doubt like Ronin, Xe are the real pioneers and the trailblazers of the space. So really excited and honored to be, to be working with you guys.
Awesome. Alex, how do you see this collaboration shaping the future of Ronin and Web3 gaming?
So I think for Ronin, we've always been talking about scalability and how it can service not only the current community that we have, but also all of the gamers around the world. Blockchain has historically had issues with scaling. I think we've been looking for a solution for a long time. We've been looking far and wide, actually, and I think zk-AVM offers us what we need to not only make it work in the short term, but also make it work in the long term. And going from being or going into a more open ecosystem, I think will be very exciting for Ronin. It means that we can tap into even larger network effects. It means that it will be easier to connect to Ronin, and also easier to bridge liquidity into Ronin. Something I'm also very excited about. I think for Web3 gaming, in the future, everything that we're working towards here is how can we actually onboard as many people as easily as possible. Using our MPC wallet, people are able to just create accounts now without even knowing their private keys, just using their emails. I think that's incredibly exciting. With zk-AVM, the gas fees are negligible. They can just transact almost for free, which I think is what is needed to make this technology truly scale. And for game studios that work with us, in the future, they will be able to even create their own Ronin Layer 2s using the zk-AVM technology, which I think is great. And of course, using the security of Ronin, and also potentially even connecting to the broader blockchain ecosystem with the AG layer of Polygon.
Sandeep, what do you think about the current Web3 gaming landscape and Ronin's place in it?
Yeah, so currently, like we are in the second wave of the Web3 gaming cycle. One was like the big wave was 2021, and I think like we had a mini second wave in the end of 2023, and we have already seen probably like $2-3 billion worth of capital also coming into the space, and now. We can very easily see that there are multiple really high quality games all across the ecosystem which are coming, and many of them, like at least like we still need to see many of them in production, but many of them have like at least from the early reviews they have pretty good and sustainable tokenomics, and the game economy inside the games also. So obviously, like, that is for anybody who's working on building the infrastructure of for blockchains, this could be the moment where like the blockchain infrastructure like really gets mass usage, and and the space of Ronin, like as I already said that this has the highest recall amongst the gaming players, like one of the top players in the space. And we frequently come across a lot of games who are like looking to deploy and work with Ronin, and obviously like I think everybody knows that Ronin has a very big gamer community that is also a pretty good attraction factor for a lot of games who want to launch with the Ronin ecosystem, because they immediately get a lot of gamers on their games. So that's why, like, Ronin's place is absolutely special in the gaming space.
So earlier, Sandeep, you mentioned the words Ronin and King of Gaming Chains. This is a question for you, Jeff. I know that topic has been brought up, especially coming from you a lot. How do you think Ronin has become the #1 blockchain for gamers?
Ronin is different, right? Like, we're focused on getting real everyday people to use the technology. And we were early movers, and we invented a mechanic that caused virality in the space, play to earn. And I think since then, we've always been innovating actually at the distribution layer rather than at the infrastructure layer, right? I think in crypto, in Web3, like, everyone is super interested, I guess, in trying to create new technologies. And that's really, really important. But we're now at a point where the infrastructure is actually really good. What the space needs are teams that are able to speak to community, innovate when it comes to distributing tokens so as to incentivize and coordinate behavior. And so I think that's always been like our specialty, right? Is building things that gamers love, building things that can resonate with everyday people, right? Our products, they're both futuristic and nostalgic, right? And when you're introducing people to new technology, that's the type of kind of combo that's needed, right? A twist on a classic. So I think that's what's really allowed us to become the place where 19 million Ronin wallet downloads have happened, right? 50% of our users have never interacted with Web3 or crypto before using our products. And I think that's what makes us different.
Sandeep, so I think there are some common themes in between what you both were saying. How do you think our visions align?
Yeah, like I think Alex already, kind of summarized it very well that today, like, it's widely accepted that, Polygon's ZK technology is the, leading ZK technology and leading ZK team in the space. Some of our products like Plonky 2, Plonky 3 are being used by almost all the players. Either they are directly using it or their own solutions are heavily inspired by them. Even the modern solutions like SP1 from Succinct Labs and all that are using Plonky 3, which is our product. And we have already looking maybe 2 generations ahead, the things that we are doing today, most of the projects will end up doing in 1 year from now. So Web 2 is technically and practically infinitely scalable. Like, as many apps can launch. If you think of a blockchain as a server, like I'm deploying on a shared server. If you see Web 2, this trustful internet, nobody really deploys their own applications, on somebody else's servers. Like, you are not deploying your applications to Facebook's servers or Google servers and all that. When you need your, when you want to build your applications, you go to some cloud provider, you spin up your own servers and own machines, right? You have dedicated capacity, a higher level of service, quality and all those things. And with blockchains, that's that has not been the case till now. With these ZK EVM and layer 2 technologies, now, the builders can have their own, execution environment, own chains, for example, Ronin ZK EVM and, a lot of other, solutions are also there where people can launch their own chains. All the capacity is for them. Whether they have a particular campaign on that day and they are going to have 5 million transactions on that particular day, or they are going to have few thousand transactions on that day, but that capacity is reserved for them, right? And that provides the applications true freedom to scale. Till now, on Polygon POS, we have seen hundreds and hundreds of games. And what I see is that the moment their traction picks up, they are handicapped by the fees, because they are paying. If you want to have a good user experience, you don't want users to be paying gas, right? So that's why this scaling the infrastructure has been a fundamental mission for us. And obviously for Ronin, how the mission for Ronin is to make Web3, Web3 gaming mass adopted, right? As Jeff also said that, mass adoption is your goal. And mass adoption in gaming means really big. In gaming, I think some small and mildly successful games would have higher DAUs than the entire blockchain ecosystem, right? Including all the chains. So if you need that level of scaling, you need you need to have these solutions, and that's where we are aligned together. Like, we are building some of these solutions, and if the players who are focused very much on distribution, as Jeff was saying, that you're innovating on the distribution layer, if we can provide the technology and we can co-develop together that technology which can be distributed to like hundreds of millions of users, that's where the alignment comes
Yeah,
for
we're
us.
both going after mass adoption.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Trung, from your perspective, why do you think ZK EVM is crucial to Ronin scalability?
Well, going backward a few times, right, when we didn't really have chains and layer 2 as commodity as it is right now, I think it was very hard to build any kind of applications on the blockchain, because then you have to deal with the scalability, right? The user experience was very bad, right? I still remember my journey with CryptoKitties, right? I think I spent a lot of time troubleshooting why MetaMask didn't work, right? Why I cannot send transactions, why the network was clogged. So coming from that, I do think over the last few years, the space has been developed so fast to a point that right now, people can take advantage of the tech, right? And focus more on building the application layer. The thing that the whole crypto blockchain space is missing right now is distribution and applications and mass adoption, right? So in order to tackle that, scalability is a problem that we always need to innovate and to solve. And ZK fits perfectly into that, right? Because imagine that you don't have to verify all the complex execution by replaying the computation. Then suddenly, right, you have a much more scalable, decentralized system, so everyone can prove the transactions without having to actually like have like very sophisticated hardware, right? So I think it's the future of chains in general, and I think ZK EVM is very fascinating, because then our dream, right, our imagined futures about having applications, having very smooth user experience would be true. When layer 2, when chains become a commodity, right, it starts to have the trade-off, the liquidity fragment, and we can only solve that, right? We can only unify liquidities by having some sort of, right, the common settlement layer for different chains. And this is very natural, because people want to build their own chains, they want to pursue like their own application scalabilities.
There are certain types of games, right, that require having even more of their transactions on chain, right? And if we were to work with those teams, there's a risk that if they're too successful, they'd actually clog the chain for everybody else, right? These fully on-chain games, right? Some of them might actually be really interesting, but they have very specific technical requirements that so far, right, we've been a little bit hesitant to work with those types of teams, but ZKVM would open that up for us, right?
Great. A little bit on Ethereum alignment. How does Polygon and Ronin align on Ethereum values?
Yeah, I think like both Ronin and Polygon, like we come from the Ethereum ecosystem, like on a larger level, right? And the alignment, I think, is more on the values, the core values of Ethereum, which are like, creating this more open, more equitable, more trustless world where users, have digital property rights. Like essentially, if you see like what Ronin and all the other Web3 gaming, teams are trying to do, like you can create these games in the Web2 world also. The difference here is that as a user, you are more sure that, the time and the assets that you have generated in playing a Web3 game, you truly own them. Like even if the game tries to censor you, worst case scenario, you can take your assets and take them to some other chain and all that. Like that history cannot be deleted of yours, and a lot of other things which are very, which is like as gamers, more and more gamers experience that if I can have like those assets and those assets are fully owned by me, and I can like, potentially trade them out if I want to, and all that, like that kind of freedom is not available in, Web2 games. And, Ethereum at the very fundamental level, embodies these values. And for the projects which are building in the Ethereum ecosystem space, I think those values are very, very important to us. So that's why I was saying that, can we achieve like 1 million TPS? And you achieve 1 million TPS like this, like you have like let's say in case of Ronin, there's a central, like Ronin chain, which is where the most liquidity and there are multiple validators and all that. And people in the Ronin ecosystem who hold Ronin and all that, they can run these ZK EVM nodes for new games that are joining Ronin ecosystem, right? And they can run these nodes, and these nodes are fully trustless and highly secure, and the games can run on them at high scale. And imagine like you have like the central Ronin chain, which has like which is like where the all liquidity and decentralized multiple validators are there, but you also have like these hundreds of other games who are running on hundreds of these chains, but all are interconnected into the ecosystem. And I've been even suggesting like a super Ronin super chain, like Super Ronin or some cool name. You guys are best at that, where eventually when you have tens of chains, you can even have this technology called shared sequencing, where if you have that shared sequencing layer on these tens of chains, then all these chains just feel like a one large big chain. Because let's say I'm playing a game number 1, and I have $100 there, and suddenly there is a new game and new NFT sale is happening. I can just, using my money here, I don't need to bridge and all that stuff. It all happens in the background. I just click, and I can buy stuff using, let's say, Ronin wallet in some other game, right?
Jeff, you mentioned more games coming to Ronin. We recently had an announcement about the Ronin Forge program. Alex, can you expand upon that?
So, Ronin Forge. Something we've been excited about for a long time is finally opening up Ronin for more game developers. And from the Sky Mavis business team, we work a lot looking for different teams. And one of the ironic things I would say is as our criteria got stricter and stricter and stricter, it got harder to find those truly innovative teams who are maybe a little bit of an outlier. So when I look at, for example, Sky Mavis, the early team there, we're a team that didn't actually make games before. I'm from Europe. My background is, as a gamer, as a competitive gamer. And we have Jeff from the US, we have Chung and Andy and Masamune from Vietnam. It was an unlikely team that would then end up making one of the most, I guess, amazing games out of all time, objectively speaking, of course. But I think like trying to find those teams is really a little bit of the inspiration for Ronin Forge. So what we're looking for here is to open it up a little bit and let the most experimental teams that are doing the most exciting things in the space apply for the program and be able to prove themselves. So what they will be able to do is deploy on Ronin. They will get some support from us in terms of announcements, and they'll get a small grant. But if they start picking up traction, if the community ends up loving it, like they ended up loving Axie, that's really when we will uplift them into becoming an official Ronin or Sky Mavis partner. So when you're a Sky Mavis partner, that's really when things start to get nice. So you get the actively supported from the Sky Mavis founders. We really try to refine your game. Make sure that you don't make any of the big mistakes that we did with Axie, but try to really do only the amazing things that we did. So that's kind of the difference there. And I'm super excited to welcome the first batch of 6 games. And I think it's only the beginning, right? So first 6 games, and then eventually, we'll see if we get to the second batch even before we open it up. But I really do encourage all games that are looking to work with us to apply for Ronin Forge.
Sandeep, I'm curious of your opinion on this, because this approach is different from what you see in the broader Web3 ecosystem. What do you think of us opening up in this way?
Yeah, I think Ronin has been able to go deep with some of the teams and nurture their products and make them really, really successful. And I think this Forge program, I see it more like a YC for gaming, right? Y Combinator kind of thing for Ronin, where where the core team, you guys have seen it all, extremely experienced at how to build communities, how to build distribution for your games, and then having this kind of accelerator program where you can open it for external, teams and then support them and make them successful. And this basically, with the ZK EVM coming in and all those things, this is like a eventual path to fully permissionless and open building in the Ronin ecosystem. But, it's like, as they say that, baby steps, like you had few, select games previously. Now the cohort is becoming bigger and eventually it becomes fully permissionless. So I see this as a very good, next step in the journey of Ronin.
All right, thank you all of you for being here today. I think many amazing topics were discussed, and the folks listening will learn a lot from this discussion. We are so excited to implement and grow Ronin and Polygon.